This is a great old urn by Gladding McBean, is the company that made that. It's made out of fired clay. It's very, very hard. That dates back to the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, something like that. I put this fountain in here over 25 years ago. And let me show you, the water comes on down, goes out this way.
This is Bill. He lives here, in this 100-year-old country club, just north of Los Angeles. Bill is one of those guys you meet and you're like, well, darn, that's a pretty cool guy right there. He loves design. He loves talking about design and art and butterflies and how to improve upon designs that he's designed. He spent the past 31 years restoring this historic 5-acre property. Welcome to the Mountain Mermaid. Really good time here. This is my third visit. I can tell you it's worth your time and energy to come up here. And you're about a 15-minute drive from the ocean, which is nice as well. Here's a 60-second story on how I was introduced to Bill. In 2016, I got my first tattoo from this guy, Tim. I found out later that Tim was a painter, and so I asked Tim if I could shoot a video about him. It was a lot of fun working together, and we actually became friends after that. He even came to my birthday party. He then hired me to photograph some of his paintings at his uncle's place, which he described as funky. Pulling up to the property, I had realized that Tim severely undersold his uncle's house. I mean, yes, it was funky, but it was also gorgeous and sexy. It had a strong presence. Guys, welcome to the Mermaid Mountain Mermaid Mansion. It used to be an old country club in the 30s, and now it's a home/event center. This was the day I met Uncle Bill.
I saw your YouTubes are amazing.
Well, you're on one right now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, say hi.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Bill. When I got here, the pool was buried. There's just a ghost image of the perimeter of the pool, and they had a chain link fence that went right through the middle, and on the far end, in the shallow end, there was a garden, and on this side there was like a little horse ring. And what happened after I got here, I learned that the pool cracked and they couldn't fix it, so they put all the trash in it. Just put the trash in it until the trash just completely filled it up, and they put a little dirt on the top. When I got here, I excavated it all out, and we redid the pool. We put a whole new pool inside of it. I put on all those tiles myself. Those are seconds. They're porcelain, and you use porcelain around the edge of a pool because it's highly vitrified. It won't crack if it freezes. So. Over here is another one of our fountains. This is the back of an antique mermaid. Here's this is very old here. It probably dates back to the original, probably the 40s, I would say. It's let's see if it still works. Yep, still works. Water fountain. And when I got here, like this deck was all just shards of concrete cracked up. So we use these pieces for our walkways. It's 40 feet long, it's 20 feet wide. We have 35,000 gallons of water in there, which is, one of the first things I did when I got here was, even before I did the foundation, I did the pool. I guess, in retrospect, water is very important to me. I just wanted this big focal point down here, which, you know, I don't swim that much, but I love looking at the pool. And just having this fabulous body of water down here. I think water is so basic to us as animals. I wasn't that much into native plants when I got here 30 years ago, but now I'm all over native plants. Eventually, I want to replace everything with native plants. So when we plant stuff that's new here, it's native, predominantly. This is not a native plant. This is from Australia, staghorn fern. That could be 50 years old, 40 years old. My father, he propagated this, and there's actually an oak tree growing out of it. But these girdle trees, and they live off of what falls out of the trees. They're just designed to collect moisture, and it goes back in here. Animals and frogs, and there'll be pools of water in there. They have their own little ecosystems. Do you want to see how our wildfire system works? We have a state-of-the-art wildfire sprinkling system here. So we can literally make it rain on our property. We use the water in the pool. We have 16 sprinklers like this up here. So we pump the water out of the pool through the sprinkler. We have them down below. We have another one behind these trees here. We have them up on the roof at the Mermaid. We have one back by the pool. We have 500 gallons of propane here for our generator. We have a propane generator. So if we run out of electricity, we can call this the pump room. And we have each one of those pipes goes to a sprinkler. As you can see, we have 16 up there. We have them all named. And this is for hydrants. We have about 20 hydrants. Hydrant being where you can go on the property. We'll have hoses and you can fight the fire, not with sprinklers, but by hand. And we have easily 50 hoses and trash cans stashed all over the property. Here's our pumps. This is an electric pump. If we run out of electricity, then we use our generator that is powered by propane. So we're totally off the grid if we need to be. This is a gasoline pump. This one will power about half a dozen 7 sprinklers at the same time. Let me show you in here. I think what we're going to do, let's see. You see a sprinkler down there? We'll turn that one on. Let's see rainbows. Used quite often. This one sprinkler, I said it's covering a half an acre. You know, I suspect it's covering more like between a half and an acre. It's up on the roof. It covers it. You know, the radius is maybe 75 feet. It could be 100. Here you can see it, Mark, coming over. This sprinkler is actually on this side of the house. We have another one on the other side that really goes, you know, we get a lot of our neighbors' houses wet as well. A nimber would have a hard time catching when the place is this wet. And it's not just the moisture, it's the humidity. So what you want to do is get your water up as high as you can, and it actually changes the humidity This is one of our 16 sprinklers here. It takes care of this area here. It overlaps the one that's on top of the roof. Yeah, we're gonna have a rainbow here when the sprinkler comes around again. Kind of waiting for it. It's gonna be right up here above this palm tree over here. And get ready. Let's see. Rainbow. I've been doing the Mermaid for, well, I guess I bought it, closed the first day of 1990, went into escrow 4 months before that in 89. So I guess it's 21 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, 31 years.
Oh my God.
31 years, and before that, I've been through about 25 houses. Some of them I built from scratch. Most of them were restorations. I've lost my ass more than once. You know, it's not, but I'm not in it for, it's a passion thing for me. It's a labor of love. I love what I do. I really do love what I do. I look forward to waking up in the morning and just getting my crew going. And so I'll lay in bed, I'll wake up and literally for hours, I'll be solving we always have issues and problems. And so I'll kind of figure it out when I'm sleeping or when I'm kind of in between sleep and being awake. And I think creativity, when I was a painter, so much creativity in painting and music, it's all about finding solutions and solving these little problems, making things work with what you have to work with, you know? And so we could easily put 20 people in here and close the doors. Come on in. And I'm going to shut the doors here. Get the wildfire. It's a very tight room. Door's actually a little hard to close. You take this cap off. Turn the system on. And the air is pulled in through here, goes out here. You have fresh air in here. And then all of this, these are just things that are left over from our system. We're constantly, these are all just pipes, different kinds of pipes. Our system is very maintenance intensive. So we do a lot of filming at the Mermaid. And a year and a half ago, there was a medic here. And I asked her if she could do medicine cabinets for us. She said, absolutely. So she put this together. We had this cabinet. And we have all kinds of stuff in here. Examination gloves, burn cream, scissors, burn bandages, just all kinds of, it's all labeled. And finger things, all kinds of salves, and what are these called? Stethoscope? These. So it's not just your average medicine cabinet. And in here, we keep all of our fire gear. There's essentially 4 of us that would fight a fire here. Now, fire is something you live with all the time. This whole fire system, you may think it's going overboard. It is going overboard for more homes. There's nothing exactly like this. There's other pretty sophisticated systems around, but it's in, I'd say, the 1 percentile of properties in the Santa Monica Mountains. A lot of people have little garden sprinklers on their roofs and stuff, but you can easily lose your house up here, and it's getting worse and worse. It's so bad that the fire season pretty much goes all year round now. And so that I don't have to worry about, I was just worrying about fires all the time. Now I feel pretty comfortable. We have these little windows here, we have a little thing here we can actually look out and see, ooh, how's the fire doing before we go outside. We have another one there, peepholes. And these are fire resistant doors. So, I don't know if I didn't show you that, Mark, did I? This is what the Mermaid looked like when I showed up here 30 years ago, and all the patios were cracked. The building was leaning and tilting. The plaster, half it had fallen off inside. The roofs leaked like really bad. You could see where the trees had caught fire from a fire that came through. And bought the house with this goat, Calico, and then gave it back to the sellers after a while. The power lines went right over the swimming pool. So we put all of our electric underground, and there you go. So we call this the bunker. And well, I'll tell you what, we've had a dozen or 20 times. There'll be fires that are close by, then we get everything going. Yeah, it's, every year there's fires in Topanga. Every year there's hundreds, if not thousands of fires in California, but most of them get put out. And so I want to introduce you to Sergio. Sergio's been here at the Mermaid for, Sergio Jimenez, do I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Yes, has been here for most of the 30 years that we've been here. He helped replace the foundation. He's done so much of the plumbing, and he did so much of this work. He buried all these pipes, put them all together here for our fire system, and crawled up there and put that sprinkler on. Stevie did a lot of the concrete work. This is Leonard over here. Hi, Leonard.
Hi.
And believe me, I couldn't do it without these guys. They're just irreplaceable, unbelievable. Their work ethic is amazing. I'm just so grateful. And what do you look like, Sergio? Yeah, he's a pretty handsome guy. His wife's a hairdresser. So his beard was green during Christmas, and now his hair's red. So that's Sergio.
All right.
See you, Sergio.
See you. Hey, guys.
You want to go inside up?
Yeah, I'd love to.
This is the Mermaid Great Room. 50 feet long, 30 feet wide, 16 feet tall. We can put a couple hundred people in here. We've had as many as 150 for dinner. It's better for not more than 120 for a wedding. Original floors from 1930, original ceiling. These are second generation windows. They were already here when I got here. So the Mermaid has this incredible history. It was originally built as a Sylvia Park Country Club, 1930, by a couple of brothers, Charles and Irving Goldman, named after one of their daughters, Sylvia. And then it fell on hard times. It went into bankruptcy. A guy picked it up, Mr. Walker, and he had a boys' dude ranch here, and boarding house. He tried to do things with youth. That was what his history was. He worked with camps and stuff. And he had a hard go of it. There was one problem after another. The kids would drink, and that was a problem. One of the guys going home after he'd been here and he'd been drinking, he went over the cliff on his way to the ocean. It's pretty treacherous. Mr. Walker rented it for a time to Mickey Cohen. His wife told me that he actually physically helped Mickey Cohen, the infamous Los Angeles gangster, dig out underneath the Mermaid, put in slot machines and gaming tables, and it was one of Mickey Cohen's Los Angeles gambling houses. It was here in the basement, and prostitutes upstairs. Mr. Walker, Mrs. Walker said they never saw Mickey Cohen unless he was coming with his goons to get the money. Otherwise, he wasn't around. And so that was the late 40s during the war. Then 1954, there was a guy that bought it for a while between Mr. Walker. They actually changed the name to Beach Cities Country Club. It didn't really pan out. And they sold it to a guy named Phil Ewing, who opened a gay nightclub here. Phil Ewing had a history in law enforcement. He ran the jail in Santa Monica. He drove the ambulance with the police department in Hollywood. And he retired, And so he got into gay nightclubs. And he knew he was in Vice, was not gay himself, he lived on the hill up above with his wife, but he really knew that whole scene. And back then, everybody's really in the closet. I've had conversations with people that came here, an actor in particular, and he said, we were all just so afraid that even, that it would get out that they were gay, they would just be finished. So anyway, it was illegal to dance, but this was the only place in Los Angeles where men could dance and hold each other. Otherwise, you could dance, at a distance. But there was a time that the county attempted to shut down it was called the Canyon Club back then, originally Sylvia Park Country Club, and then it was Rancho Topanga, or Rancho Topanga, and then it was the Canyon Club, the gay nightclub, and so it's been about half a dozen different owners. Ultimately, the judge in Malibu threw the case out, and so it didn't close, and they did not get fined for guys dancing, but this one man, actor at the time, he came back, he talked to our whole neighborhood, the whole community. We had 200 people in here. He was talking about the history, what it was like back then coming to the Canyon Club. He said, I was in my 20s, there was no other place I could go. This place was just such a gift to me. And there's he would name a lot of people that you would know, actors that would come up here. And ultimately, he told us, as well as, I've heard it a number of times, the Canyon Club, gay nightclub, was shut down. Well, it was sold. Phil Ewing sold it because nobody came anymore. The reason they didn't come is because he disallowed African Americans. Pissed everybody off. They stopped coming, and he just sold it to a couple named Mickey and Ann Nadell, and they opened the Mermaid Tavern here. When I got here in '89, most of the plaster had fallen off the walls. I don't know if you can see up on the roof where the water was coming in. When it would rain inside. And I set up all these water catching devices. So during escrow actually, I was learning a lot about the building. The building was in dire straits when I bought it. And it took me 5 years to get it secure and put a whole new foundation underneath it. And at one point, I ran out of money, borrowed $300,000 to finish at 40% interest. Only money I could get for this place. I tried everything for literally 2 years to get a loan to finish. And I finally bit the bullet, signed the papers, and went and picked up my check and finished the Mermaid. Actually ended up being a great investment.
This is my first time staying up in the tower. I have stayed in one of his units, kind of down here. I'll show you. So just beyond that way, past the pool, there are a couple different outdoor setups. All of the landscaping is just beautiful. And this one is actually at the top of the main house, and it is called the Mermaid Tower. Check out the bathroom real quick. It's really cool. They have all these very functional submarine little portholes here.
This was originally the ladies' parlor in the country club days. Original floor, original configuration. We put in new windows because literally some of these windows had caught on fire. And like I say, the plaster had all fallen off. And so over here we have some very collectible mermaids. It's part of this, it's like a coffee table and lamps. And it's just the Mermaid is really a mishmash of a lot of different styles. I don't feel like I need to subscribe to any one historic period. I tend to find what I like, and I tend to find things that I feel like are beautiful and have timeless qualities. This is a Victorian bed. This is actually a family heirloom. And this is like piano bench, probably from the 50s or the 60s. This door is reputed to be from the Mission Inn in Riverside, and goes downstairs where me and my partner Gail live. And this you call the mountain room. This was originally, during the country club days, the card and pool room. They had pool tables in here. It used to be longer. We took 4 feet of it for the staircase over there. And then this was a great pair of antique beds that somebody gave me. No, that I bought from an antique dealer. They didn't give them to me. But they're extra long twins. We made them a little bit longer, and now we can push them together, make a king size bed, or they're on wheels. We can pull them apart and make 2 beds. And we've done this quite a bit to be able to give us the option of a king size bed or a couple of beds. This here is like a mechanic's cabinet I had, and we put wheels on. We have wheels on so many things here. I mean, I can come in here and I can rearrange this room. Otherwise, without those, without those wheels, it would just be such a chore. I'd need to have a couple of guys do this, me and somebody else. I have literally hundreds of light fixtures. Half of them are in storage. Love light fixtures. Here's our other medicine cabinet. Ta-da! So, mostly people want Band-Aids or an aspirin. This door has kind of an interesting history behind you. I was coming back from town, and the guy had this in his truck at a gas station, and I said, "Hey, I like that. Can I buy that?" And it was like $100, very thick, and I needed a wide door. Over here, our front door, beautiful old theater doors. So these are, God, 4 inches thick, and very thick, beautiful wood. I have this piece. If you come out here, Mark, you'll see they don't actually go together, but they're in different parts. They're single doors in different parts of a building, the same building. And I actually got a carpenter. He put that piece in there and he routed this out so it would accommodate this plate that I already had. And he put this in here and added that, he routed it out here. So I worked with some really talented people. This is from Argentina. Beautiful handmade nickel, I think. Mermaid, it's perhaps the most beautiful mermaid we have. We have lots of mermaids here. So it's called a mermaid because I just kept the name Mermaid. It was originally the Mermaid Tavern from the 1970s. And mermaids are such a great, iconic, wonderful thing. There's mermaids in every culture throughout history. When buildings in the Middle East, a lot of Spain's architecture came from the Middle East. And then it came over here, Spain came over to America, the Americas. But it brought with it, this is called like a camel window. It was made so you actually bring a camel in. And so the architect that designed this building put that in there. His name was Charles E. Finkenbinder. That's his name. And we call this kind of our medical wing because here we have a dental cabinet. This is probably from Scotland. And this was an old medical, it's actually named right over here. It's a hydraulic stretcher. You know in World War II where they carried people around in stretchers? Well, in hospitals, you would roll people around. They call this a stretcher, hydraulic stretcher, because you lock it down, it rolls around, you lock it down, and you can raise it. The glass was put on recently, but back when it was 20s, 30s, whenever it was, you would put a person on this, and they had like a place for a person. And you might take him into the operating room or the morgue or wherever, And so I love this piece. And sometimes we'll load it up with food and we'll roll it all around the house. Over here, this is from a psychiatric hospital. When we opened this up, brought it to the property, locked. Like a year later, we opened it up, and here's a page right here on how to treat rape victims. You know, this piece has a history, and it got all patinaed outside. It has a wonderful patina on it. So that just lives in the corner here. The Mermaid is beautiful, I think, if I could say so myself, but it's very functional. For example, this table, I get more comments about this table than anything else in the house. It's just, but it's very simple. It's 3 pieces of wood and some legs, 6 legs, and it's relatively light. We carry it all around the house, use it inside the great room sometime. When I got here, the kitchen was half this size, and we had this big cabinet I bought in, I fell in love with this cabinet. Originally, it was on Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena, and I just would go in there and I would ask, is this possibly for sale? No. I literally went there for years. The guy wouldn't sell it. Finally called me up. He said, you want to buy this thing? The guy's ready to sell it. He was on consignment or whatever. And so I bought it. It was 16 feet long. And this was part of it. And we had it against this wall for years in here with our pottery collection in it. And when I went to do the kitchen, I decided to use this as the kitchen cabinets. So I had a carpenter, he cut up, now this is 15 foot wide exactly, cut off 6 inches off each end, and he made these skinny little cabinets, very functional. I used these bolts. You know, hardware is really expensive. You could spend $50 a bolt, you know, for a knob. These are like $1.50 or something at Home Depot. And this is a very cool detail. Check this out. It's most finished carpenters have never seen that visit. This is fireplace. I rebuilt this fireplace because when I got here, you could literally come up here and pull the bricks off. All the mortar had lost its strength because when it gets wet, it leaches out the lime. That's what I understand. So we completely took it down. The old one started up there, took it down. And when we got to here, we found an opening. We looked down inside, and there was an ash pit that went down another 10 feet, full of ashes. And so we dug down, it was like going back in time in an archaeological dig. Found these big, beautiful canisters of Johnson's dance floor wax and all these match covers. And we got down to the bottom. I still have it. There's a business card from one of the salesmen at the country club, 1930, and he had written on the back to one of his clients. It was the last thing, literally on the bottom. And I designed it with flat walls because they project the heat out, is from what I understand. And you can actually stand up in there. I wanted something enormous. I wanted to do bigger than this, but really this was as big as I could make it and have a grand fireplace, and the smoke didn't come out. So that's a big factor.
I think Bill has found a sweet spot between adulthood and childhood. He carries this innocence with him as if the burdens of the real world haven't worn on him. He wakes up thinking of ways to improve upon his castle. Sourcing materials secondhand, he works with nature. As I turn 30 this summer, I wonder if I too can hang on to my kid-level excitement. For sharing your vision and your truth with the world, we thank you, Bill. Until next time, thank you for watching.
We always love having you come here, Mark. You always got a place to stay.
Well, thank you. Even the couch right there.
Yeah, it's the best idea in the house.
Just turn the fire on. All right, cut.
Okay, Mark.